Hi guys, welcome back to another video on languages with Danny, and today I'll be talking to you about the best resources to use so you don't waste your time like I did searching for resources. I know there's so much information out there, there's so many resources jumping out at you, but I'm just going to compile all the resources that you need into one video, so just keep watching. Resource is Anki. You've probably heard of it, but if you have, or even if you haven't, it's a great resource. If you're not using it, start using it. You can download any deck that you want in almost any language, and it's a great resource for learning vocab. So definitely get a vocab deck and make sure that it's a vocab deck that has sentences, so you can see the word in its context. You can also make your own though. That's another way of using Anki, just making your own deck, and it's great. I think it uses spaced repetition learning, which is just proved to be really good for memory. So yeah, it's a really efficient resource and you're gonna learn so fast, so it's great. Second method is using the Kofi method. So that's with conjugation. Learning conjugation is really important. You can't get away with the learning conjugation, and the best way to do that is using the Kofi method. So I'll link it in the description, and you download the decks on Anki. So that's why I said get Anki first, and you go through all of the different tenses in that deck, which was so helpful for me because there are so many tenses that you have to learn, especially me learning Spanish and French. So you can see all of that, like all of the tenses laid out for you, and using Anki's method of spaced repetition, you're gonna learn like that super fast. You pick it up super fast, the conjugation, within 6 months, 8 months, you're gonna know all of the tenses for almost 50 verbs on that deck. You can't go wrong. Now, numero 3, watch videos using Language Reactor on YouTube. Language Reactor is so good because even if the video doesn't have subtitles, it takes the YouTube generated subtitles, but then it also puts the English or translate it to your language underneath, so you're learning while you're watching. So that's a really good way to just watch random content in your language, at your level, of course. Don't go watching advanced videos if you're a beginner, because it's not really effective. You're not gonna pick up anything. Apparently with comprehensible input, you're supposed to be understanding at least 80%, which I agree with. So definitely do that. In terms of structured comprehensible input, so not just vlogs and stuff like that, you don't need Language Reactor for this. You can just listen. Dreaming Spanish. If you're in the Spanish community, you've definitely heard of this channel. It's very big, but if you haven't, it's a very good resource. Definitely use it in addition to all of the other resources that I'm gonna say to you and that I've said. And another really good channel that I think is very underrated is French Facile. French Facile, really good. Has podcasts and stuff, very good. I'm a beginner in French, but I still watch it, even though it's more suited for intermediate and advanced, because the videos are just so well done. So check those two channels out. Grammar videos. I know that a lot of people don't like grammar videos. You don't like learning grammar, you don't like studying, but grammar videos are such a good way to get the knowledge in about why things are done in a certain language. I mean, there's only so much you can pick up on with comprehensible input, and sometimes the question still remains why is that way? So you need to know, someone needs to tell you. So definitely check out Butterfly Spanish, really good, very in-depth channel for grammar videos. and French with Alexa is another great channel as well. Check them out. They have beginner playlists, and they just have videos that cover, you know, almost all of the language, you know. So give it a watch. It's so good to know why things happen in a language. You know, you're gonna be able to pick up on things much quicker than if you rely on comprehensible input the whole time. You know, you're still gonna be like, oh, why is that? Whereas, you know, okay, this is why you use para instead of paw. This is why you this is why that's pronounced, or this is why that's there. You know, you just know. So very good. Next, everyone's favorite thing, Netflix. Yes, Netflix is really good, but watch it when you are more intermediate or advanced. I think that's when you really start to reap the benefits of Netflix. As a beginner, watching Netflix is okay, but I think you can go much further, much faster in the beginning with the other resources that I linked, the other channels. You know, maybe start with Dreaming Spanish if you really want to watch something, but don't start with Netflix. Because, you know, there's a lot of it's for advanced. You know, the shows that I'm about to say to you are for like natives, so, you know, start at your level. But the shows that I do recommend are the famous shows Lupin, Call My Agent if you're learning French, and House of Flowers or Elite if you're learning Spanish. They're very good shows. They cover a wide range of vocab, obviously, and watch that using Language Reactor, the extension. It's so good, and you know, it's just to get yourself used to the sounds of the language and to understand how people speak in everyday context. It's very good. So Netflix with Language Reactor, very good. italki is so good if you want to get to the next level of your language learning. Like, you can get to a really high level in language learning by using all the resources that I just said. You can, but if you do have the extra £10 to £15 to spend a week or a month or every day, or how many times that you want to schedule a class, it's up to you. Do it, because it's invaluable to have a teacher there that, you know, a lot of them have degrees, they have guides, they have structure, they know exactly how to teach the language to you. You can cover a lot of ground much faster. They speak to you in your target language as well. You're getting so much practice, so much guided practice, and there's someone there that will hold your hand throughout you learning the language. It's invaluable. So definitely, if you have the money, italki is a great resource. I'm using it. I have a lesson now, actually, after I filmed this video. So italki is a good one. Read, it's great. I don't really recommend reading if you are a beginner. I don't recommend reading just because I think if you're a beginner, it's good to hear the language and study vocab and study the mechanics of the language, so grammar and stuff, before you're getting into reading. So I would recommend if you're a little more intermediate, definitely start reading. It's great. Like, that's once you have the vocab, basic vocab and stuff, and you're used to the sounds of the language, and you know how you're supposed to pronounce the words in your head, then you start reading and picking up more vocab, picking up more grammatical structures to use, and different ways to phrase your sentences and stuff like that. Reading is great. It's a great thing. But if you're a bookworm and you're like, no, I want to read, then, you know, I won't say if you're a beginner to spend too long on reading, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes max, I would say, and get a beginner book in your target language. There's beginner short stories that are free online. Just do a Google search and read and try to get through it. And yeah, so reading is a good one. Okay, so here are some honorable mentions. I don't really use these resources a lot, but I include them here because they are still very popular, and depending on, the type of person that you are, you might enjoy these resources even more than the ones that I actually mentioned mainly. So if you like podcasts, I recommend Coffee Break. They have different languages, so there's like Coffee Break French, Coffee Break Spanish, Coffee Break Japanese. There's like loads of different types of coffee breaks, so that's really good to listen to. There's language transfer. A lot of people like language transfer, so that's a good one as well, because it teaches you languages very intuitively. As I said, I don't really listen to language transfer because I think the other resources work better for me. But again, if you're the type of person that likes listening to things, language transfer might be the thing for you to listen to. So use that in conjunction with all the resources that I also said. Then I found this really helpful. It's a website. It's called Linguno. It's basically the gamified version of Anki. Although I do think that you can learn much faster with Anki, and Anki has much wider customizable features and stuff like that, like Anki's next level. So I think you'd learn much faster with Anki, I'm not gonna lie to you. But if you still want to gamify your experience with languages a bit, Linguno is a really good resource for you. Finally, why didn't I include Duolingo? You're like, Danny, I use Duolingo. Why didn't you include this resource? I use it 5-10 minutes every day. Why didn't you include this as your best resources? Duolingo, I think, is a good resource for getting your feet dipped into the language. Like, it's good to try out the language and get a feel for the language, but once you're like, okay, I want to learn this language, I want to be serious about it, stop using Duolingo and use these other resources, because after you get like a feel, you're going to need to start learning vocab, you're going to need to start picking up conjugation, you're going to need to start speaking to people, and all of that you can't do with Duolingo, which is why you need to branch out and use multiple resources in order to do that. Okay, so you can't rely on Netflix or just Duolingo to do that for you. You're gonna need to step out and use different resources in order to do that. So I didn't include Duolingo, not to say that if you're just starting out and you're doing 5 minutes on Duolingo, it's bad. Any type of time that you can spend in the language is a good thing. But once you're like, okay, I want to get serious, I want to get fluent, and I want to learn this language, then give Duolingo a rest and move on to the other resources, because those are much better for language acquisition, efficiency, fluency. So yeah, and that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments or any more resources, put them down in the comment section. Share. And yes, thank you guys for watching this video. Subscribe if you want to see more. I'm always updating and sharing information and tips on this channel. Bye.